That is perfect. What? What? Oh. Hey you all, it's Shelly Wellness here. Welcome to the Mindful Plate. Today is a very special episode because we are celebrating Juneteenth. Now, if you're watching this video and it doesn't happen to be Juneteenth and you're not familiar with the holiday, let me explain a little bit. So at one period in time, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, and that was to ensure that all enslaved Africans were liberated. However, some folks didn't get the news, and some folks down in Galveston, Texas didn't get the news until 2.5 years later, y'all. So after Black folks were liberated, they still weren't liberated. And there's still some question about liberation today, but I digress. So today we are going to be making a special recipe that is going to be drawing on our West African roots and our Black Southern roots. And we are going to be making an okra stew with black eyed peas, some greens, some fonio, and some plantain. Let's get into the recipe. Hey, I'm your host, Shelly Wellness. I'm on this journey to elevate our consciousness around food, and I invite you to join me. On this channel, I'll share recipes created with mindfulness, rooted in wellness. Welcome to the Mindful Plate. So, we are going to be making soul food today, y'all. Soul food. Listen, don't let anybody tell you that soul food isn't healthy, because we are going to be making the original soul food, the soul food that our people have been eating for quite some time, because it's food from the land. So we're going to start with some okra. Now, this is an okra stew, and some of you might be like me, where you do not love the sliminess of okra. Let me tell you. The only reason I eat okra is because I want to make sure that I stay fine and alive and my blood is flourishing. And I know that okra is good for the blood, but child, that's slime. So here's what the solution to this. I'm going to take most of my okra and I'm going to put it on this skillet. And when I put this okra on the skillet, what it's going to do, it's going to kind of dry it out for me. Now you might be thinking, well, girl, that defeats the purpose. You need all of that slime, because that's what's good for the blood. And since I know that the slime is good for the blood, I'm gonna reserve a few okra pieces so I can get a little bit of that slimy texture, but I really wanna control how much slime there is. So by putting the okra on a skillet like this, what it does is it kinda dries it out and kinda crisp it. And to be fair, I do love a bit of crispiness in my stews. So that's what's gonna happen, and we're just gonna let this do its thing. So as you see, once you see this little bit of like, you're just kind of giving it a grill almost, right? So once you see that, then you know that sliminess gets locked in. And it won't be oozing out all over your stew, but we do want some ooze. So while that's doing this thing, we are going to make our stew base, and we're going to be adding yellow onion. I'm using half an onion here. I'm going to use 3 tomatoes, and that's because I want this to be saucy, you know? And I'm going to be using bell pepper. Now, just a word on bell pepper. Now, bell pepper, there are different types: green, yellow, orange, red, and nature's so brilliant. It starts off green, and then it turns yellow, and then it turns orange, and then it turns red. It's the same bell pepper. However, the sweetness gets richer as it gets deeper in color. So I want a little bit of that sweeterness. Is that a word? But I want that. And I'm gonna add this red bell pepper into my stew base. And of course, a little heat, just a little bit. Now I have a whole Scotch bonnet in here. I would never play myself and add this whole thing, but I am just gonna cut a little bit and put that in. No seeds, don't play yourself, no seeds. If you are about that spicy life, then add all the seeds you want. It's almost ready. Okay. Now I'm blending this to a puree. I don't want any chunks in this because my ooh. What? Oh. Listen, I think I played myself with that Scotch bonnet. I can smell it. Wow. Oh, this is gonna be good, y'all. Girl, that's perfect. That is perfect. This is what we want. Oh my goodness. You see, the heat it hits you right here, but you get the scent and the smell and the flavor of Scotch bonnet. For those of you who are afraid of pepper, I'm telling you, pepper is also a flavor, so you don't have to use too much of it where it overwhelms your senses. You just want to use enough of it so you get that mwah. We are all the way in West Africa, in the Caribbean with this dish. I am so excited. All right, so we're gonna set this aside and we're going to come back to this, but we wanna get our pot started. Now, to start our pot, we are going to be adding some palm oil. I am using palm oil for this because I want this to be rooted in a West African flavor. If you don't have palm oil and you use another more neutral oil, that's fine, but understand that this has a flavor that we want to just maximize in this dish. So we're gonna add some palm oil to the pot and we're gonna add our onions to this. So our palm oil is melted and we're going to add some sliced onions. I'm using red onions because I like the flavor of that. You could use yellow onions, white onions, whatever you like, but I just find red onions have a nice mwah. They just add that mwah to the dish. So I'm gonna let those saute a bit and soften, but they don't have to be fully cooked because remember, this is a stew, so they're gonna cook over time. Now I'm gonna add some of my epis or my spice blend. If you saw my previous video, then you already know how I make this and why I make this, because listen, when you add this to the dish, it amplifies everything. So we're gonna add about a tablespoon of this. You don't wanna skimp, okay? Yes. I'm a fan of seasoning at every single part of the pot. So we start with the base seasoning. And then we're going to add in our okra. Remember that okra that we crisped up because we don't want all the slime? So we're gonna add in our crisp okra. And we're gonna add in some fresh okra because we want a little bit of slime. Just gonna mix this on in there. So now I can see that that heat is starting to bring out some of the slime in my okra. And that's what I want. I want a little bit of slime to come out. And then once I get it perfect, and I want you to come see what's happening. When I stir, you're gonna see these strings. I don't know if you can, there goes some strings there. That's the slime coming out. You see that? And now we add in our sauce. Now check out the texture. This is gonna thicken over time, but I want you to see what it's starting to look like. Remember, it's a little slimy, a little stewy. You see that? So at this point, I'm gonna give it a taste, see if I need to adjust any seasoning, and then I'm just gonna let this cook and simmer a little bit before I add in my cooked black-eyed peas and my greens. Ooh, this is about to hit. Some salt, come on now. Yes! Happy Juneteenth. This is soul food. So it's been about 15 minutes and our okra stew has cooked down nice and lovely. You can see that our sauce has definitely gotten darker. And so now that it's all cooked, we are going to add in our cooked black-eyed peas. Yum, 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 yum. I love black-eyed peas. And we're going to add in our greens. And we add in the greens and the black-eyed peas last, y'all, because essentially they don't need to be cooked, they just need to be heated. And for the greens, you don't want to cook the life out of them. You know what I mean? You just want to kind of wilt them, but you still want them to have their vibrancy. So always add your greens last. I've turned the heat off because I don't want this to cook anymore. I just want those black-eyed peas and those greens to just marry with that okra and that good pepper stew. Wow, it's perfect. It just needs salt. It just needs salt, that's it. Wow. Now at this point in the dish, I want you to use your creativity. Taste it, see what's there. Now all you may need is salt because that's what you like, but if you wanna do some more with the flavors, like more smoky, add some smoked paprika. You wanna kind of deepen it, add some cumin. You wanna kind of brighten it, Add some lime juice, some lemon juice. Have fun with this, but the base is good enough. Yes! You better come alive. All right, you all, so now our okra stew is done, our Juneteenth soul food. And I just want to say a quick word. If you are someone who is Black or brown and you have been struggling with some health challenges like diabetes, hypertension, stiffness of the joints, and you went to your doctor and they were like, well, you just got to clean up your diet and stop eating the fried foods and take out the sugar, why don't you try a salad? I want you to know that this is something that you can eat to help heal those ailments, because our people suffer a lot from food-related diseases that we don't need to be suffering from. So you want to clean up your diet? Salads are boring, I get that. But this is how we eat. We have our greens, we have our okra, we have our black eyed peas, we have our seasoning and our flavor, and we have fonio. Fonio is a grain from West Africa, so if you need to take rice out of your diet because that's also contributing to some of your diseases, then go ahead and try fonio. If you like couscous, it's very similar. And of course, to balance it all out, because it's very savory, we're adding some plantain for that sweetness. Let's give it a try. I'm so excited. Oh my goodness. I'm telling y'all, discovering this way of eating has been so helpful for me, because when I had to switch my diet, I was like, what do I eat? This is what I eat. Girl. Yes. So good. And the okra is not slimy. There is slime, but it's not overwhelming my mouth with some ickiness. All right, you all, if you want the recipe for this, you already know, click the link in the description, because that's my newsletter that I send out every Tuesday. And until next time, eat well and be well. Happy Juneteenth, y'all.